Pictures that none of us were meant to see, photos of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge on honeymoon.
But an Australian magazine has broken rank and published private shots of the couple, angering a family already sensitive to press intrusion.
Princess Diana was the most photographed woman in the world, and the media frenzy surrounding her was full of intrusions and dangers. And it's this that Prince William is determined to protect his new wife from. The Duke and Duchess's wedding in April last year was a very public affair, with their special day being shared with 2 billion people in more than 180 countries. After such a public event, they wanted their honeymoon to be strictly private.
Well, let's go live to Sydney now, where we're joined by entertainment reporter Alison Stevenson. Alison, very good day to you. Quite a lot of shock here that this has happened in Australia. What's the reaction there?
Well, I think it's been much the same over here as it has been in the UK. We are just as surprised to see that the royal family are up in arms at the publishing of the photographs, because they've been out here for a number of days now.
Yeah, the magazine itself, though, the Women's Day, a big magazine over there, we know. We don't really know it over here. But they're being very quiet about their decision to run the pictures, aren't they? Have we any sense of why they went ahead?
Well, not really. I think Women's Day have actually gone to ground, and I, like every other media organisation across the world, have been trying to get in contact with them to find out just why they decided to break this unwritten rule.
And also, why now? It's not an anniversary. I mean, why at this time? Any idea?
Well, no idea, really. I'd love to know as much as you would. But, look, I suspect that perhaps they were waiting for a little bit of the controversy and a little bit of the anticipation to die down. I mean, it is 14 months since the couple were on their honeymoon, and perhaps they thought they might get away with it a little bit easier down the track.
Are they selling well? Is there the enthusiasm for the royal couple there as there is here?
Well, they're certainly selling well now, particularly because it's had such worldwide coverage. Normally, magazines would probably struggle to get this kind of coverage and this kind of you know, worldwide acclaim. So people are rushing out there to buy the Women's Day magazine and to see just exactly what all the fuss is about.
OK, Alison, thanks very much indeed for talking to us. We're joined now by former News of the World editor Phil Hall and Nigel Regan from the celebrity picture agency Big Pictures. What's your response to this? I think it's
terrible, actually. I think particularly look at Kate, very demure, very thrifty. She recycles her clothes and her shoes. She's behaving, I think, in an absolutely exemplary way. And I don't think, you know, she's not leaking stuff to the press like Diana used to, for instance. And I think you know, we've learnt lessons in the media. I think the royal family have learnt lessons. There's been a very, very good relationship rebuilt, and I think it's a terrible shame that this is broken. And of course, what will happen now, I suspect, is the German magazines, the French magazines will follow suit. So, and of course, it'll be all over the internet.
Would you have published these pictures? Had you been an editor of that magazine?
We wouldn't have sold them if they came through our office. If I was publishing a magazine in Australia, I would have possibly thought about it. The reality is these photographs were taken in a little the legal area where the privacy laws and the respect for this is less sensitive than it is here. So the fact they're taken in Seychelles and published in Australia means they sit outside the legal framework that we recognise and respect and understand here.
Do you think the public have a right to look at that kind of picture? Do you think the public have a right to see that kind of picture? I
think the public have a choice. If they choose to buy the magazine and search for them on the internet and view them, then it's their choice. They wouldn't publish them in the magazine if it wasn't going to sell, and that's the public expressing their choice and their opinion and going out and buying that magazine. So, you know, the answer is yes. You know.
Big dilemma, isn't it, for newspapers and for magazines? I mean, you, former editor, had to make the decisions every day when to publish and when not to publish. And there's no doubt that if it was in the newspaper tomorrow, we'd all rush and grab and have a look at it. You know, we may not like ourselves for it, but we would do. So,
I think that's a fair point. And I think newspapers have been blamed. And you know, I said at the time I'd accept responsibility for what happened to Diana, but it was a Faustian pack, really, because the public had an insatiable appetite for, you know, everything that was going on around her. She played the media as well. She leaked stuff, as well as sometimes, you know, argue that the stuff shouldn't be published. And I, you know, I concur with what you're saying. Actually, the public have a choice, and certainly it would be good to see in Australia the public turn against Women's Day. But you're right, people will grab the magazine now because it's notoriety.
I mean, you could say, what's the fuss about? Because they're not compromising pictures, are they? I mean, if they were compromising pictures, obviously there'd be hell to play.
Well, personally, I think it's a fantastic set of photographs, and you know, for Will and Kate, I would be obviously. I mean, the kind of language that's been used, you know, fury, I think is probably.
The difficulty is, though, you can't.
It's overplaying it.
The difficulty is you can't put the genie back in the bottle. You know, once you allow this to happen on the beach, what happens next? You know, and that's what happened with Diana. You know, next time you're arguing somewhere or you're caught doing something, but it's in a public place, they will say they didn't object to the beach pictures because they were lovely, but they're now objecting to these pictures because they didn't like them. You've got to have a very hard and fast rule.
There's commercial pressures, isn't there, on papers, because these pictures are available on the internet.
They are.
So, do you sense that the agreement is creaking a little bit? And
I think I'm certainly concerned that it will creak, although I don't think my colleagues who are in the media will break that. And I think the thing is, it's a one-day wonder. It will sell for 1 week. It won't sell the paper for the next 6 months. It will make no difference.
What would they be worth? You know,
I wouldn't like to comment on that. But to go back to your point, I think
because I think that's important. We've got to see that.
I mean, when I was editing Hello magazine, we'd have paid £250,000 for those pictures. Yeah. If it was with the royal family's permission, I have to say, particularly Hello, they would never cross that line. Worldwide, those pictures would be worth £2 or £3 million.
But then you're fueling the issue. You're encouraging people to take those shots and try and sell them to the press. But I think we live in a different age. I mean, so we have the inquiry going on, and I think the industry in general, certainly my business, Big Pictures, is operating in a very different manner than it was 5 or 10 years ago. So we wouldn't encourage this sort of.
I think you're right, but also the royal family have learned. You look at the outpouring of love for the Queen. Why is that? It's because she's been protected from having all of her skeletons or her personal life in public. She didn't suffer in the way Diana suffered, and I think people respect the royal family in many ways because we put them slightly up on a pedestal, and we enjoy having a royal family, and I think they enjoy a certain limelight that's controlled and deserved to be controlled, I think.
Got to leave it there, guys.
Talking of the royal family, actually, Cordelia's been outside Buckingham Palace for us all morning. What is the palace?